If awakening is a felt experience, it is not mental, it is not a concept, then that begs the question, how well can you feel? So if we're talking about emotions and awakening, they go hand in hand. I didn't know this at first. I really was stuck in my head. I couldn't feel. I knew I needed to feel. And I keep getting messages about this subject, so I'm just going to keep talking about it. I was someone who was just completely closed off, couldn't feel for multiple reasons. And as I grew in awareness of what I was feeling and finally just let feelings come and go, at first it was really challenging, and then it became easier, and then everything changed almost overnight to the point where I felt my way right through an awakening process. And I don't say that as like I gained or got anything from it. It's just that my mind and my ego is trying to figure out and map out and safely, it was just like trying to figure out awakening in a safe, controlled fashion. But it was really just terrified. My ego and my mind, it was controlling, it was terrified. It was trying to send me in the direction that was away and around feeling and clean and controllable. And that's not how this works. Feeling is part of it. And if you haven't felt in a long time, or you have issues feeling, or you've come to a place where you're numb, that all has to be reversed before anything can really take place that's significant, that will change your entire perception of reality. That doesn't happen through your mind or through concepts, even though you hear the concept and something in you knows it's true, but you just can't seem to like live it or grasp it or figure out where it came from. I feel you. I was there. I'm speaking from experience. It's not judging. So somebody I was emailing just sent me a video, and it was explaining how to feel, and it was just hilarious because I was going to do a video on that, labeled "Just Cry, Bro, Just Cry." I saw this other kid's video pop up in my feed, and it had over like 1 million views, and it was just this young kid on his porch smoking a cigarette, and the title was "Just Exist, Bro." I didn't watch it, but I just thought whatever he's about to say, like that's it. I think he's got it. That's pretty much what this is. But just existing and being okay and letting everything happen is nearly impossible for most people because we are insanely control-driven creatures. And the control comes from fear and uncertainty. But we don't want to look at that, so we just keep doing what we do, and we're validated by 99% of people in the world because everybody's insane and controlling and fearful, and that's how most people operate. So you look around and you find comfort in the fact that, well, I must not be crazy because everyone else is doing this. When in fact, it's the other way around. So, man, I never thought about this before. So when people would say it's not conceptual, it's not a concept, it's something you realize, I never actually tied that together with, it's a feeling. It's a felt experience. Because somebody asked me the other day about God, or like just the feeling I was trying to explain to them was just how everything is okay. And they were like, yeah, that doesn't make sense because what about this? What about that? And I said, yeah, I know it doesn't really make sense, but it just is what's in my experience. And they asked, well, how do you know? And I said, because I can feel it. And they figured it out. They looked at me and they said, but you can't explain it. This is part of the problem. If awakening could be explained, somebody would just write it down. Everybody would copy it or learn it and figure it out and do it, and everybody be awake. But it's not that easy. It's a messy, crazy, wild feeling, noticing, awareness, jumble that kind of happens all at once. So when it comes to feeling, I have a few people, more than a few, who are messaging me currently who are at the same place. And that place is they're aware that they can't feel or they're not feeling and they're repressing it or pushing it back, but they're also aware that they need to feel, and that's the next step. So again, more than a handful are asking me, should I do counseling? Should I do this? Should I do that? And one even was like, I'm just going to not awaken, or I'm going to give up on this awakening journey. And I get it, because you get to this place where it feels impossible and you learn everything you can, and then your learning gets just to the point where it's just exhausting and annoying and there's nothing more to learn. You already know all the concepts, but that's not what this is. So if you are numb and can't feel, it's most likely because of a trauma, and not the trauma necessarily, it's your reaction to a trauma or something you couldn't control. So you decided, I'm going to control now. I'm never going to be out of control again. The problem with that is emotions are not controllable. They come, they go. You don't know how long they're going to last, what they're going to look like. Some are going to be okay. Some are going to be ugly. Some are going to be at appropriate times where you're comfortable in your room by yourself, and some are going to be maybe inappropriate at a dinner party or out in public. And if you do not allow those to happen, that is just where you will be stuck forever. But you don't have to be. That's why I'm sharing this, because I was here. I couldn't feel. I was numb. I got to the place where I was aware that I needed to feel, but and here's the part where, like, I don't know a better word for it. The spirit and the ego kind of have a fight, this duality inside of you where you want peace and freedom, and you know you need to feel, so you want to move that direction. But then there's this other part of you that's equally strong, or maybe stronger, that is resisting and saying, no, I don't want to feel. I don't want to go this route. This is scary. What if I die? All these things the mind tells you. So from deep within, from a true place, your body's just trying to feel. And then your mind comes in and stops it and shortcuts it. So there's a million ways to go about this. But what I did personally is I did a little bit of counseling, but that's actually not what helped me feel. It helped me become aware that I didn't know how to feel. And then from there, I moved into actually practicing. I set an alarm on my phone. I would check in 2 or 3 times a day and ask myself how I'm feeling. And without labeling it as like sad or mad or whatever, you just actually feel the sensations in your body. Because when I thought I was numb and not feeling anything, I actually was feeling. It was just one overarching feeling that I would call numbness, which was kind of keeping the variety of feelings at bay, but it still is a feeling. So if you can notice what that feels like in your body without labeling it, just become aware of the sensations, where it is, if it's tightness in your chest or your legs, or if you get headaches, just the sensations. And the more you notice, the more it kind of releases, because it's being felt and being seen. And then the more you do that, the more you feel. And it will get uglier and more intense if you've held stuff back for years, like I did. I held stuff back for 15 or 20 years and stuffed a lot of traumas. And behind all my anger was deep, deep sadness, so I had to cry through a lot of stuff. And it's just not a big deal. We spend our entire lives running from or avoiding these, what we deem as painful feelings, but when you finally feel them, you become free. Free from them and free to feel them. And now I'm at a point where I have kind of felt through everything, so I don't get really strong feelings anymore that feel overwhelming. I just have small moments where I tear up because something's beautiful or something's sad. But the intensity of the feelings have gotten less over time because I really have just felt through everything that I couldn't feel before. So the initial explosion of feeling when you start to look into it and feel it will be overwhelming, and that's fine. You're not going to die. Everything your mind tells you about it's not true. All the resistance is coming from your mind. It's just crazy, like thinking about it in any other context. Humans are so weird. Animals do it, nature does it, the world, everything around us shows us that everything is accepted. The rain, the sun, the storms, everything comes, everything goes. Humans, though, when something comes, we say, no, not me, not today. I'm too busy. I have other things to do. In one way, it makes us maybe the most arrogant, ridiculous creatures on the planet. But in another way, wow, the depth and the beauty that we are able to perceive and feel is maybe the thing that makes us most godlike on the planet. It's just stunning. It's amazing when you finally just let it through. And you can do it, and there are ways to do it. And there are probably a lot of other people in other videos that explain this better than me. I mostly just want to get on here and say that it's possible, it's part of it, and it's absolutely necessary for awakening. And if I can do it, literally anybody can. I'm so convinced that if someone like me, if you would have known me 10 years ago, it's absolutely crazy that I can sit here and just be calm and talk about all these really insane ups and downs and where I'm at now. By all normal standards, I should be a drug addict or dead or in an institution somewhere. I did the first two. Anyway, if you are completely in your mind, like I was, and you want to awaken, it's kind of funny because your mind takes that over, the journey, and it tells you all these things about it. Like, you got to learn this, you got to watch this, you got to watch these, you got to meditate longer, and it gives you all this stuff to do. But actually, that's bypassing what you actually need to do. You need to see through the mind. Stop listening to it. Stop paying attention to it. Relax about it. Notice it's not you. They're just thoughts. And feel everything that is underneath when the mind's not going crazy, distracting you from your actual lived present experience and sensations. That's why meditation is so beneficial, because it gets you still long enough to feel these things. Now, when you start feeling, everything starts to open. But I get that this part, right before you start to feel, is maybe the scariest, most intense, most insane feeling part of this whole journey. Especially if you haven't felt for years. Your mind will start to panic and get louder and more wild, and you'll get more mental. You don't need to do anything about that. You don't need to try to quiet your mind or do anything about it. Please don't go that route. It doesn't lead anywhere. I made this mistake. All you need to do is sit and feel sensations in your body. It might be a day, it might be weeks, it might be months. I had one initial insane break where I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And then after that, all sorts of memories and other feelings just flooded through my system, but less intense. And that happened for only a couple months, honestly. It's like I caught up in 3 or 4 months what I was holding in for 20 years. And then after everything moved through and I was able to see everything clearly, do a little bit of shadow work, feel some more, then it all subsided. And now I'm not, it's like the fact that I am open to experience and to feel anything that comes now, things don't come as much. It's like when you have an emergency fund, financially, you just have a little chunk set away. You don't have emergencies. Because when you do have an emergency, you have a backup. So it's not an emergency. It's like when you're able to feel, you're never overwhelmed by a feeling again. So you just relax. Because you go from a place of, I can't handle this. What am I going to do? I'm scared, to, I feel totally okay. I can handle anything that happens. I would have preferences of things I would not like to happen. I like to be comfortable and not uncomfortable, but I can handle whatever comes. That's the beauty of feeling and letting yourself feel. You move out of your mind, out of anxiety, out of panic attacks, into a place of peace and calm and the ability to feel. And confidence that it's not a problem and that you can handle it. And then the next stages after that, of course, seeing through all of it, all the concepts, all the feelings, all the sensations. And then just everything shifts into what people call awakening, if you keep on going. But I'll stop there for now because I just wanted to touch on the feeling part, and I feel like that was kind of long. So if you're in this phase, just tune into your body. Don't listen to your thoughts. And thanks for watching.